Hi everyone, welcome back. Happy New Year. It is January 2nd as I'm recording this video, and hopefully I'll upload it either today or tomorrow. Since we are in the beginning of the year, I thought it might be good to pause and think about the books I'd like to read and share some of them with you. A list of 10, easy, manageable. I'm hoping to read more than 10 books this year, but I'll be happy if I read well these 10 books, if I read them carefully. And before getting to the list, the book that I just finished reading is Transland by Mix Sly. Mix is a substitute for Mr. or Mrs. The book is autobiographical. It's a memoir of a queer, non-binary Canadian author and artist. The full title is Transland, Consent, Kink, and Pleasure. And I'm hoping to review this in the next few weeks. I enjoyed it. Okay. Now, the first book is a book that I've already started reading, The History of Tom Jones, a Foundling, by Henry Fielding. I am currently on page 300, book 6, chapter 9. Page 300 out of, well, almost 1,000, so 982 pages. How did I find this book? And why did I choose it? There's a book of essays by Somerset Maugham. It is called 10 novels or 10 great novels and their authors. And in that book, each chapter is devoted to one great novel that Somerset Maugham loved and admired. And the first chapter in that collection of essays is about Tom Jones. There are other chapters about War and Peace, Pride and Prejudice. They're all well-known, great books, but this one, with which the book begins, was, I didn't know it, this 18th century novel. Part of the reason why I am reading it, of course, it's entertaining, it's funny, it is very psychological. Henry Fielding understands inner contradictions of characters. I think he was a very extroverted, to use our contemporary words. He was very outgoing. He dealt with a lot of people. We can tell that he has a very realistic, down-to-earth, practical view of human nature and human psychology. And to the extent that he deviates from realism in his psychological descriptions, he does that in the service of, I think, his aesthetic ideals and in the service of his art. That, by the way, is one of the binary oppositions that he explicitly talks about in the book. The dichotomy of nature versus art. Nature versus the realm of human decisions and human creation. I think when we read big books like this, we are taking small steps towards being countercultural. I mean, I don't mean that in a aggrandizing way, but I think it is meaningful enough and it is countercultural enough to deserve that designation. So, in the same spirit, the next book that I'm going to read, I'm planning to read, is Laurence Sterne's book, Tristram Shandy. The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman. On the back cover, we read, Laurence Sterne's great masterpiece of bawdy humor and rich satire defies any attempt to categorize it. Part novel, part digression. Digression, another countercultural concept or a countercultural activity, something that we don't do in our time, assuming that we live in a time of, I think it's safe to assume, we are living in a time of efficiency and shortcuts and summaries of novels, getting to the point. But digression, there's so much beauty in digression, there's so much meaning, and I think digressions create a kind of reading experience, an experience of thought, or just experience itself that is rich and meaningful and full. Anyways, let me read a little bit more from this back cover. Part novel, part digression, its glorious disordered narrative interweaves the birth and life of the unfortunate hero Tristram Shandy, the eccentric philosophy of his father Walter, the amours and military obsessions of Uncle Toby, and a host of other characters including Dr. Slop, Corporal Trim, and the Parson Yorick. A joyful celebration of the endless possibilities of the art of fiction, Tristram Shandy is also a wry demonstration of its limitations. Okay. This book is, I think, about 650 pages. A little bit more if you read the notes. Next, so far, these two novels. And so these are the challenges, I guess, of this year for me. I'm looking forward to them, and I'm, I guess, 30% done with Tom Jones already. Then there is Byung-Chul that I'd like to read a couple more books from him, partly because he's an interesting author, but also partly because of the nice reception and positive response I've been receiving. The videos that I've made about Byung-Chul are, they're viewed, but it's not just about the view, it's about the comments and the engagement. So that makes the reading experience and the experience of going through, discussing the book more of a group, more of a collective activity. And hopefully we can make that even more collective by maybe holding live sessions. Okay, so the two books that I've decided to read, at least these two books by Byung-Chul this year. One of them is Descent of Time, an essay on the art of lingering. So it's about time. It's very related to what I said about lingering with these big novels. Digression, not being efficient. And the second one is What is Power? Also by Byung-Chul. And it's a very interesting, I've read parts of that already. It's an analysis of visible and invisible power. When power is exerted in a visible, obvious way, is that really power? And the way I think about that is in relation to the concept of boundary. The presence of power, the presence of an extended agency usually means absence of boundary. So we'll get to that. The Descent of Time, I've been a little bit resistant because I doubt whether for me it has new insights. I've read previously a short book, also short, and I loved that book. I've read it twice. It's a book written by Andrea Kohler, I think originally in German. Yes, originally it is written in German and translated by Michael Eskin with a foreword by Mark Lilla. Anyways, I've read that. That's not on my list of books to read this year. Another book related to Descent of Time or Passing Time, Waiting, Lingering is Jenny Odell's How to Do Nothing. It's a good book. So far, I've talked about 4 books: Tom Jones, Tristram Shandy, Descent of Time, What is Power? Then there is this thing I'd like to think about, partly because of my obsession now with the novel I read last year, The Bee Sting. It's the concept of tragedy. I'd like to think through it and see what else I can find. Why is it that, again, tragedy is for us very countercultural? The things that sell, the books that sell, the books that become attractive are books about, almost immortality books. Success, extending human finitude. What is that book about non-aging or anti-aging? Outlive. So Outlive is a kind of book that becomes bestseller in our culture. Tragedy is downplayed, it's repressed, the sense of tragedy. With that theme, one of the books on this list is Tragic Sense of Life by the Spanish philosopher Miguel de Unamuno. My friend Greg Sadler has a series of videos on this book, and I'd like to read it this year. If you're interested, Greg's videos are already available. There is another book recommended to me by my friend Tyson Woolman, written by Simon Critchley. That's called Tragedy, the Greeks and Us. I think it's both philosophy and literary criticism, literary and cultural criticism. I'll see. There is also Gabriel Marcel's book, Tragic Wisdom and Beyond. And a bonus in this book, it's been on my reading list for a long time. One of the bonuses of this book is, if you know the philosopher Paul Ricoeur, at the end of this book, there's about 50, 60 pages of conversation between Marcel and Ricoeur, the younger Paul Ricoeur. 6 conversations, very short conversations. And the rest are essays by Gabriel Marcel, French existentialist philosopher. Another tragedy book, Terry Eagleton, Tragedy. So, how many tragedy books? Unamuno, Critchley, Marcel, and Eagleton, 4. One more book by Terry Eagleton I'd like to read. I'm putting it on this list because it's been on my list for a long time, and because I'd like to read it with my reading group. If I'll bring it up, and if they are open to reading it. Culture and the Death of God. Okay, so that's number 9. 10, and last on the list, I've read A Jest of God in 2023. I'm going to read Margaret Lawrence's masterpiece, according to people who discuss Margaret Laurence, The Stone Angel. If you're curious, my friend Grant Shipway, who has a great YouTube channel called Grant Loves Books, has a review of The Stone Angel. And that was the first video that I watched from him. That's how I found him. I was searching Margaret Laurence reviews. So that convinced me, but I started with a shorter work, A Jest of God, which is also really good, really great. I would recommend that. But The Stone Angel is the one that Grant identifies as the best novel, the best Canadian novel by the underappreciated Margaret Laurence. Okay, that's it. What are you going to read? If you have reading goals, both the type of book and that you'd like to read, you'd like to explore, and specific books that you could name, I'd love to hear your goals. And I'm especially curious about any big books that you're intending to read this year. I think especially it would be worth your time to read if you get together with a group of friends, 2, 3, a group of 3 even, and read this book. This book is divided into 6 parts. They're called 6 volumes. And if you read each volume and then get together and talk about, not this one, Tom Jones. If you get together and talk about what you got out of it, what stood out to you, it doesn't have to be an academic discussion. It just takes the reading experience to a whole new level. It gives a level of depth that it's very difficult to get by yourself, unless you reread and really take your time and have a reading journal and stuff like that. But an easier way to get a lot out of the books you're reading is to discuss them with other people who are also reading them. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to discussions this year. As I said, the books that I'm going to post videos about are Transland, of course, but also Deconstruction and Pragmatism, which is the target of my reading group discussion in January and February. Again, I will put descriptions, links to my reading group in the descriptions of this video, in case you're interested. Otherwise, take care. And again, Happy New Year.